Today we're going to be interviewing John of John Ross Music, who is a wedding event DJ.
Stayed too long. Now I'm wondering if your lost is strong.
My hope for this video, guys, is that as you guys are in the process of planning your wedding and you're figuring out, gosh, what does a DJ do? What are we looking for? This is your first time probably going through something like this, and we want this content to be as helpful as possible for you guys. So I'm just gonna have a candid conversation with John, and hopefully we can all learn what is a wedding DJ doing and what are you looking for and what are your kind of options. So John, why don't you just first introduce us to you, your company, and what you're doing now in Portland.
Yeah, thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
So we are wedding musicians and DJs, meaning that we provide both live music and DJ service.
When we think of DJ, let's define terms real quick. A DJ is, in my mind, it's a guy behind a booth playing music, and then you have another role at a wedding, which is master of ceremonies. Most people say MC. And then you have another role at a wedding. You have the option of doing live music. So those are the three kind of things that you're touching on, right?
Right.
So it's not just DJ. It's like an improper term.
Agreed. Most wedding DJs are coming in with maybe a single sound system and setting it up where the reception area is, and they're doing dinner and toasts and then dancing. We come in with multiple sound systems, usually 2 or 3, set one up for the ceremony, perform live music during the ceremony while running the sound. So the job of a wedding DJ is definitely multifaceted. I'd say sound, first and foremost. People don't think about that, but the DJ is the one bringing the microphones, the speakers, and then mixing it all properly so vows and announcements and all that stuff can be heard. Yeah. Then you got the MC portion. That's the hosting things, making announcements, directing traffic, making sure guests know what's happening, what's coming up next, introducing key moments, that kind of thing. And then finally you have the actual content, the music itself, whether in our case it's live music and DJ'd pre-recorded music, or in other wedding DJs' cases it would just be the pre-recorded music.
Talk to me about musicians.
So live music is really important to a lot of people for their wedding. One of the questions we ask our couples when we first meet them is, when you imagine yourself walking down the aisle, what do you hear? Do you hear a classical guitar playing? Do you hear some traditional classical music? Do you hear someone singing a Jason Mraz song or a new Ed Sheeran song off the radio, something like that? Yeah. And man, what makes it special for us is like bringing that vision into reality. Man, the other thing I really like about live music at weddings is that it's flexible. A question we get all the time is like, oh yeah, I need to time out my walk, okay. Right? Like, okay, so I have 7 bridesmaids, and if it takes them 25 seconds each to walk, these kind of, and they're worried about the song being at the right moment. I feel like live music just makes all of those conversations irrelevant, because we literally adjust the arrangement of the song in real time as we're watching people walk in.
I feel like I've been to weddings where the bride will literally stand in the middle of the aisle ready for the handoff, and somebody will wait for that music to end, to where it creates really long, awkward pauses, either when the bride's ending or in between the bridesmaids and the bride, when there's just not a cohesion. So you're right. I never thought about that, but you're right. So you can time things, you keep things moving.
I like it. It simplifies the whole process.
Something I've noticed as a wedding videographer, I recently did a wedding with him at, not you, but one of your other artists, at Tin Roof Barn, and it's amazing because it's a beautiful, intimate environment, and you're hearing this amazing music, and you look over and there's the guy playing the guitar. I'm always surprised by how much it adds to that actual moment, especially as the bride is walking down the aisle.
We talk about it being warm, that live music can feel warmer than canned music, so to speak. And there are certain aspects of your day where you want that warmth. We do ceremonies. Sometimes during a cocktail hour, somebody performing live in the background can be more engaging than just a track. And then special dances. So all the time we perform live for like a first dance or a father-daughter dance, those kinds of things where you want those moments to stand out as more significant or special. Yep. And warmer. There's certainly like an emotion that's packed into a live performance. One of the unique things we do, and a lot of our artists do quite a bit of it, is bring in an additional musician or two. So one of the most popular thoughts that people go to for wedding music, if they're going to do live music, is the idea of like a string quartet. So we offer the option to add an additional string player or two. So imagine you've got a guitar and then you're going to add in violin and cello. We do this all the time where if people are looking, they're more like the vitamin string quartet type sound. So we want like this pop tune, but we want the cello playing the melody.
Let's talk about MCing. Like, it's always the DJ, am I right? Unless somebody brings in a specific MC.
Usually the DJ becomes the MC because they have the microphone and the speakers.
Yeah.
So they have the ability to amplify their voice and make sure everyone can hear about important stuff.
Yes. So as a wedding videographer, what I see is I go to weddings, all your guests, from the moment your ceremony, kind of that event begins, everything at that point is controlled by your DJ. So his ability to get people to sit down and get ready so things can start on time, his ability to move people from ceremonial location clearly to reception area, his ability to announce you guys coming in. You're literally crowd controlling and at the same time controlling the momentum of the night leading up to main events and building hype for them.
Right. At least the key for us in our minds is that we try to think it through from a guest experience perspective. Yeah. What is your guest experience when they arrive? Like, and our goal is that there's never a moment where there's confusion in guest heads. Like, what's happening? What are we waiting for? What's next? What's going on? Where should I be? What should I be doing? I think that's a common occurrence at a lot of weddings that aren't emceed well, is that guests have those moments where they're like, okay, dinner ended 20 minutes ago. What's happening? What are we doing next? This is when guests check out of a wedding. You're talking about it loses momentum, it loses energy. So we're trying to think through all of that, and then each of those moments we're going to make a concise and a clear announcement.
It's funny talking with somebody like John. It's really fun because I've done multiple weddings with him, and I consistently see his ability to control the room and make an enjoyable experience for the guests, to where it's like a party and he's a great host. Even though some people might see DJ as like, well, he just plays the music. A good DJ has to do so much more than that. And if he doesn't, the event lacks and the experience lacks.
It's a good word you used, host. When I train our guys about this idea of emceeing, that's one of the words I use. I say, I want you to imagine that you are hosting a party for some of your really good friends. Like, how would you approach that? Would you care about what their guests and friends were thinking, and what kind of tone would you use? MCing's walking a fine line. You want to have some personality, you want to be engaging and fun, but you don't want to cross that line to go over the top where things become about you.
I think that it kind of goes like with a good wedding planner. It's like, you know how good they are because nothing really went wrong in the day, and you're like, well, this is just how weddings go. And a lot of times the wedding went so well is because the wedding planner is doing such a great job. And I think as a DJ, when I see days go well, you not too much attention is drawn to them, but when you look back, you can realize, wow, when they executed at certain points, that kept the whole night going. I know that when I work with John, I've seen his ability to like fill up the dance floor. That's a huge thing, because people naturally probably don't want to be on the dance floor. They feel like the light's on them. They're a little hesitant to do it. But there's ways that you can get everybody out there. If I went to a wedding, my wife would always be like, hey, let's go do a slow dance. And if he can get us all out there and then kind of turn it on its head and pick things up, I'm fine staying out there, because now I'm with everybody else and I'm just blending into the crowd, versus there's only 5 people on the dance floor. It's hard to get the momentum to get people back out there. And I love seeing my couples partying with all their friends and family around them. And the only way that can happen is through a good DJ pretty much masterminding that experience.
Yeah. That's really well said. I would say accomplishing what you're talking about takes 2 different types of planning. It takes good communication with the couple ahead of time to know what kind of music they want to hear, what they don't want to hear. So you kind of know the parameters to work within and what their family and friends and guests are going to be really into. So going into a night, I might have 15 or 20 songs. I know for sure I'm going to play these songs. I don't know exactly when I'm going to play them, but I know I'm going to. Right, I'm talking about just the dancing time now. And then I might have 50 other songs that I'm pretty sure I'm going to maybe play. And then tons of other material at my fingertips just in case. But our philosophy of DJing, I haven't decided what the next song is going to be until maybe halfway through the current song that's playing. I have some plans. I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 songs ahead of where I want to go. But like you said, sometimes the energy will change in the middle of a song.
Yeah.
That you've played Remix to Ignition by R. Kelly, and all the wedding party just came back out to the dance floor. And I was planning to maybe do a slow dance next, but now that can't happen because everybody just came back to the dance floor. So I drop Usher, Yeah, next. And build from there.
Yeah.
Also, what you talked about happens all the time. Maybe the energy's hitting some sort of a lull, like people have gone to the bar to get another drink, or people just kind of got tired. You can hit them with a slow dance. Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love. Everybody comes back to the dance floor. And then you throw like a little softball over the middle of the plate, like let's play Twist and Shout by the Beatles. I don't care how old you are or how much you don't like dancing, you can sit there and go like this, right? So people stay on the dance floor for that one, and that's exactly what you're talking about, is we're trying to think about what song would work and keep building this energy next.
I look back to some amazing moments, and even as you talk about that, I think I have to attribute all the, like there's been some insanely powerful moments on a dance floor, and I don't even think I see the architecture behind it that the DJ is probably thinking. Like what you're saying, it's like, I don't have a set playlist. It's like, what is physically happening every moment on the dance floor, and how can I complement their experience? Whether maybe they need a break and I can slow things down, or I just saw something explode on the dance floor because of a song, how can I keep going with that? Versus I'm just playing a set playlist. I wonder if couples wouldn't think like, well, we pick a playlist and he plays it, versus no, there's creativity to this. Free him up to do his thing so that he can cater the experience.
That's one of the things you pay for in a wedding DJ is experience.
I asked John to do this interview because he's consistently shown up at some of my great weddings that I've had, either him or one of his other musicians. And I'm constantly blown away by their ability to control the crowd and help the momentum and execute the timeline. At the same time, I've been very delighted in like the live music that I've heard. Me and him worked a wedding where it was at a really high-end golf club, and John's there out on the deck during cocktail hour playing live music, and I'm like, gosh, this is just so nice and so enjoyable. It's like sitting down, you know, with your wife at a coffee shop, and there's a great acoustic player in the corner. And you're talking about warm. It's like the same way that enhances a coffee shop experiences is the same way that you can bring that to your wedding, whether it be the reception or a cocktail hour or ceremony. So if you guys want to learn more about John, go to johnrossmusic.com.
That's right.
Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Best of luck as you plan your wedding.